Hi, welcome back to Capralite. Today we're going to show you how to unbox and prepare your machine for milking. Before we start doing that though, let's make a little note about when you get your machine in the mail. It will come in a large box, possibly two boxes. If you've ordered a Showman and a separate pail, you'll have two separate boxes. But what we're going to do is we're going to examine the boxes and make sure that there's no damage on the outside. Make sure there's no holes punched. Make sure there's no corners crushed or whatnot before you open the boxes. If it is, take pictures. Next, we'll open the box and start examining things from the top down. If you see any damage whatsoever, take pictures. We want you to send us those pictures through our website, through email, however, to get them to us so we can see what's happened to it, and then that way we can take care of whatever we need to take care of for you to get your machine working. We do ask that you do that and test your machine fully within the first 15 days of it arriving. Now, let's get on into setting up your Showman. In your box, you're going to have a small box of other hardwares and goodies. You got a box of actual hardware pieces. You've got your pulsator. You have your vacuum filter. There's a clip that should have been in the box. And then you've got a pressure rod that you'll use on your pail if you ordered this particular pail. So we'll just move the box out of the way currently, and let's go ahead and get started on installing our hardware pieces. So the first thing you're going to do is just take off your blue tape. We're going to get our 90-degree elbow and we're going to screw it into this inlet space on the pump. Now be very careful not to cross thread this. Once you get it in there, kind of turn it towards the back, take your vacuum line that's coming out of the base of the machine and just slide it up on there. It does not have to be all the way. It just needs to be secure. Now, next thing we're going to do is grab our muffler. There's an orange cap in this hole. Take that off, discard it, and put our muffler in finger tight only. These two pieces here should only be finger tight. Anything tighter could damage it. So this is your inside, this is your outside. Then we're going to take this portion. This is what we call the stall cock or the vacuum valve. We're just going to turn that vertically. And now, where we at? We got our pulsator. You take your pulsator, you should have a little pipe in here that's already screwed into there. And you're going to slowly screw that on to that pipe and turn your pulsator facing the front of the machine. Now we'll come back to this here in a little bit and explain how to hook all of that up. Next, we're going to hook up the handle. So I'm going to turn the machine around so you can see here. Now, there's two parts to the handle because this is a breakdown handle, so it can be broken down for storage or broken down for carrying it on the road somewhere for travel. This part that has the nut and bolt here and this piece here coming up top, that is the top of the handle, and then you've got two holes down here. You're going to just slide them over those screws there. Then in your bag of hardware, you're going to have two little screws here. They've got their nylon locks. So you're going to just finger tight down there, but then you're going to take your wrench. This is a 7/16 inch wrench, and you're going to tighten those down. Now, this is where we need you to be careful. You want to tighten it to where it's snug, to where this does not move. However, don't over tighten them because that can cause breakage or problems in the future. So snug, but not over tight. Now we're going to take our top of our handle and we're going to slide it on the top here. And this is where we have two options. We have one option with a screw and a nut, just like what we've got down here and here. If you do not ever want this to come apart, we do offer that option to where that will just stay in place. Just put that in there instead. Otherwise, we have a quick clip. You're going to slide that in that way, and there it goes. Now it's not going to come loose. It does move a little bit, but that's perfectly normal. When you want to take it and move it and store it, put it away, take it off, set it in the car or truck or trailer or whatever, and carry on doing what you got to do. Now, I'm going to put that clip back in there. We're going to turn back around. So now that part is set up, but we need to test the pump. So we're going to make sure that it is off in the down position. Then we'll turn it on. You should have exhaust coming out here, and this is exactly what it's supposed to sound like. It's got a little reverb from the table it's sitting on, but otherwise it sounds perfectly normal. You want to turn it off and on a couple times just to make sure that it's going to be just fine. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have any problem. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to close this stall cock here. This is the closed position. And we're going to turn it on. Take our finger and cover up the pulsator. We're going to watch this valve, or the gauge. I can't see it from back here. That looks a bit high to me. Put my fingers back on that. Yeah. So that's about 12 from what I can see from back here. That's a little high, but we can adjust that down, and we'll show you how to do that in another video. The important part of this right now is to show you how this is actually working. And you can hear that tick. To know that it's working. And you can feel it during the ticking on your fingers here, back and forth. So, I'm going to shut the machine off. We're going to put this back in the open position. The only reason that this ever gets closed is if you are troubleshooting to make sure that everything's working. So that right there tests the entire machine to make sure that the base is actually working completely. That's it. That's all it really is to setting up the Showman base itself. Now we're going to move over to the Herdsman, and we're going to show you how to do that. So we're going to move the Showman out of the way a little bit. Whoops. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to do the Herdsman. All of this stuff is exactly the same, so we're not going to go over that any more than what we normally would, as we've already covered it. The difference over here is when you receive you'll usually receive your Herdsman and your pail, if it's this pail, all in the same box. Now, this particular pail, in the Herdsman box, these inlets will not be on here. They will be in the bucket, and you will need to put them on yourselves. We do that to make sure that we're protecting them for shipping. You will have all of your goodies in here. You'll have the O-ring in there, and all of those same parts that we had over there in the bucket, right? The pulsator, this is a different pulsator that would go here. This is the LL90 model, and the same principle applies as the other one. Now, the handle on this one is slightly different. This handle doesn't have screws coming out here to go there. So what we've got from there in the box, or in the bag rather, will be two longer screws and two nuts, right? So what you're going to do here is the same principle, same type of handle. We're going to reach underneath, and I'm going to have to come around to do this with my right hand. I'm going to push the screws there. Alright, now we're going to put those onto the screws. Put one on the bottom, get your nuts started. Now, the only two tools you really need to set this machine up is a Phillips head screwdriver and that 7/16 inch wrench like we discussed before. And just for the sake of the video, you would just tighten it down and carry on just like we did in the Showman and tighten that down. So that's pretty much the setup for both machines to get them working and tested to make sure that they're working just fine. So visit us in the next video for how we're going to actually set up and hook up the pail and the inflations and all of those things so you can actually use it. But that is the basics of how to do the setup of the base only, and we'll see you in the next video.